everyone, Saki here and welcome back to my channel. So I'm finally going to be doing this video. I asked you guys on my last Chanel 19 video if you wanted to see this, and a couple of people did say yes. So today is going to be my comparison between my Chanel 19 flap and my Chanel Classic medium flap. So I guess these are both considered medium flaps, although I always thought this one was the small size. I feel like these are both kind of comparable, especially because they are both 10 inches wide, but they differ in so many different ways, including style, how much they can carry, and price, not to mention. So I'm going to be talking about all of those things today, and then at the end I'm going to be telling you which one I prefer. So if you are a fan of these two Chanel bags, I do hope that you find this useful. Alright, so let's just start off with the dimensions of the bags. So the dimensions of the Chanel 19 medium bag is 10.1 inches width, 6.2 inches height, and 3.5 inches width. The Chanel Classic medium flap is 10 inches in width, 6 inches in height, and then 2.5 inches in depth. So as you can see, they are very similar. The Chanel 19 bag is a little bit wider, but in terms of height and length, they are pretty similar. Now, as for the price in 2022, as of now in September, the Classic handbag is $8,800 US. I know, so expensive. And then the Chanel 19 bag is $5,700. There is about a $3,000 price difference between these two bags. Now, granted, one is a classic bag and the other is still considered a seasonal bag, but sometimes I just cannot believe the price difference it is for a classic flap compared to any other bag. Now, obviously, these two bags come in so many different materials, from leather to tweed to fabric. I think they even make denim bags, but the one thing I will say is that they have not made a caviar Chanel 19 flap yet, so if you are a fan of the caviar leather, the only option between these two is the classic flap. Let's just talk about leather for a second with the Chanel 19. I know that my Chanel Classic flap is in caviar, so it's a little bit harder to compare, but I will say I have had another Chanel Classic bag, the jumbo, in lambskin before. And I do want to point out that the lambskin leather in the Chanel 19 is very delicate. It feels very luxurious and smooth to the touch, even compared to the lambskin on a Chanel Classic flap. I do believe this has to be because of the structure. The Chanel 19 bag is obviously a little bit more like soft and pliable, which means that the leather is a little bit softer. But yeah, that is just something to keep in mind. I know a lot of people have talked about the Chanel 19 leather being a little bit more delicate, and that is something to take note on. Mine is looking really good so far, but I haven't used it a whole ton. I have taken it out a couple of times, but I haven't used it nearly enough to really assess how delicate this lambskin leather is. These are both flap bags with a turn lock CC in the front, but as you can see, the Classic flap is a double flap and the Chanel 19 is a single flap, so this one is a little bit easier to get into, whereas the Classic, you obviously have to lift up another flap to get into the main compartment. Now, in terms of compartments, the Chanel Classic flap does have more than the Chanel 19 bag, but to be honest, I haven't ever used these compartments on the inside, like these two like slip pockets and then the lipstick holder. The only thing that I've used is this front pocket and then the pocket in the back, whereas the Chanel 19, sorry, I have an organizer in here right now, the Chanel 19 bag only has a zipper pocket in the back, and then this pocket in the back is extremely more useful than the tiny little smile pocket in the back of the Classic flap as well, because you can definitely carry more in here. I usually shove my cell phone in here, or if I'm carrying like a card case, I will shove that in here as well. I just really appreciate when a bag has a functional back pocket. In terms of things that these bags can hold, this is everything that I can put in the Chanel Classic flap. As you can see, it's not a lot. It is kind of a tight fit, especially because the bag is so rigid and so structured. Normally, this is a decent amount of items that I would carry on a day-to-day basis when I'm not doing too much. But this is how much the Chanel 19 bag can hold, and I just think that the capacity of the Chanel 19 flap is perfect. It can literally hold everything that I need and even a little bit more. I think the Chanel 19 bag is single-handedly more useful because it can carry a little bit more items than the Chanel Classic flap, which honestly is one of the reasons why I wanted to buy a Chanel 19 flap to begin with. Now I'm going to be comparing the strap length on both of these bags. So you can really carry the Chanel 19 bag 3 ways, except if you shorten the strap like how I have, which if you are curious on how I did shorten it, please go check out my video about the Chanel 19 bag. I will link it down below. If you shorten it this way, I think it becomes the perfect shoulder bag. Otherwise, you can carry it on the shoulder, but on me, as you can see, the length is very, very long, so I would never carry it this way. The second way that you can do it is crossbody. It is still a little bit long on me, but I do still think that it looks good. I am 5'3" for reference. And of course, you can also hand carry it or carry it on the crook of your arm with this little chain strap. Now with the Chanel Classic Medium flap, you can really only comfortably carry it on the shoulder. However, there are 2 options to carry it on the shoulder. One is obviously using the single shoulder strap, but you can also double up the chain and carry it this way as like a shorter shoulder bag, and this is actually the way that I do prefer to carry it. Some people can get away with carrying this as a crossbody bag. I admit I have used this from time to time, but it is a little bit tight and it does look a little bit more awkward if you are taller. But if you like to carry it this way, it's definitely an option. So that was pretty much it for my like objective comparison between the Classic flap and the Chanel 19 flap. Now I'm going to be going over my opinions of both and why I choose one over the other and the things that I like about each one. So let's start off with the Chanel 19 flap. Obviously, I haven't used this one that much. It really hasn't been in my collection for that long. However, there are a lot of things that I love about it. Like I said earlier, I do love the capacity. I can carry as many things as I need on a daily basis, plus a little bit more because I can carry like extra diapers for Killian in here and some wipes, which I just think is amazing. The other thing, like I mentioned, is that I really, really love the back pocket. It is just way more functional than the tiny little pocket that they give you on the Chanel Classic flaps. And then the third thing I will say is that if I shorten the strap the way that I've shortened it, I do really love this length. I think that the Chanel Classic flap can be a little bit too short when you're carrying it on the shoulder, double straps sometimes, and then it's a little bit too long single strapped. And then obviously crossbody, it is very tight as well. However, there are really no ways to like alter the strap anymore because it is kind of like a shorter strap. So with the way that I've shortened this Chanel 19 strap, I do feel like it's a little bit more comfortable. It is also really nice to have this leather part on the strap because it's very comfortable on your shoulder. I wouldn't say the Classic flap strap is uncomfortable in any way, but it is very nice to have this soft leather on here. Now, the things that I don't love about this bag are that it's not exactly classic. I only reach for this bag if I'm wearing like a really casual outfit or like an edgier outfit. I do think that you can wear it in like more, you know, fancy, elegant occasions as well, but to me, I really do see this as more of a casual bag. It's a little bit edgier because of the chunky straps, and although it does still look really fancy, it just doesn't look like a classy evening bag in my opinion, and that literally is just my opinion. I also do think that the different types of metals that are on here are a little bit more like edgy as well, which is another reason why I do think that this goes better with like a more casual or edgy style. The other thing that I don't love about this bag is how much you have to baby it. So I did end up waterproofing my bag, and I'm not one to like super baby my bags, but I do find myself being a little bit more careful with this one because I just think that the lambskin on here is super delicate, and I have heard stories of, you know, there being significant wear on the flap and on the corner. So yeah, I do find myself being a little bit more careful with this one. So yeah, those are my pros and cons about this bag. Of course, I do love it, but you guys know that I could never beat out my Chanel Classic Medium flap. This is literally one of my favorite bags in my collection, and although it cannot hold as much as the Chanel 19, I do think that it holds just enough for me on a daily basis, especially if I'm going out for the evening, for dinner, for shopping. It doesn't hold anything extra, so if I am going out with Killian, I'll probably need to bring a separate diaper bag, but that's okay. For how small it is and for how easy it is to use, I don't mind also carrying a diaper bag with it if I need to. I know it's kind of like weird probably to carry like a Chanel bag and a diaper bag, but a mom's gotta do what a mom's gotta do. Alright, so the few things about this bag that I don't really love are probably just the opposites of the things that I love about the Chanel 19 bag. I don't love how small this pocket is, although in a pinch it is really good to have to just stick a credit card and ID in there, and it's very easy access. You can also, in a pinch, shove your phone back here if you really need to put it somewhere, which I have done. I don't recommend it because I do think that it'll stretch out the leather, but if you really need to for a couple of seconds, that is an option. The double flap can sometimes be cumbersome because once you open it, you have another layer to go through to get to the items that you have in your bag. But honestly, I'm just so used to opening both flaps at once. That doesn't really bother me anymore. And then I think this could be a pro or a con depending on your opinion, but the bag is a little bit more structured and more rigid, so you can't carry as many things, but I do love how the structure really withstands the test of time. I mean, my bag is from 2004, which is almost 20 years now, and as you can see, the structure of it is still pretty immaculate. Granted, I do also have a caviar bag, which caviar leather is already just more durable than, like, say, a lambskin leather. So those are the things that I would say about this bag. And then of course the number one thing that this bag has over the Chanel 19 bag is that this one is a timeless classic. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I went back on the Chanel 19 bag like over and over and over. I loved it, then hated it, then loved it and hated it. It's just been a constant battle with me until I finally decided that I love it and I finally bought one for myself. But literally I kept going back and forth and back and forth, and that is because I couldn't decide if it was going to be a classic, if I was going to love it forever. The design is a little bit out there, especially when you consider the giant quilting and then the use of the 4 different types of metals. I just don't see it being a bag that in 10 years I still am gonna love. I mean, I totally might be wrong about this and I might never sell that bag, but I know for 100% certainty that I'm not going to sell my Chanel Classic medium flap. I'm never going to fall out of love with it, and I'm always going to have this in my collection. Do I think that this is worth $3,000 more than this though? I think that really depends on your personal opinion. I personally probably wouldn't pay $8,800, over $9,000 after tax on a Chanel Classic flap anymore. If I did want to buy one in 2022, I would try to go pre-loved and save a couple $1,000s. However, I do think that it is worth the higher price point to buy this than this, because this is classic and timeless, and you always know that this value is going up, whereas I cannot predict if this is still going to be popular in the future, which means I cannot predict the value of this one in the future as well. These bags might be considered ugly in 10 years and no one might want to buy them. We never know, but I definitely do know for a fact that in 10 years this is definitely going to be worth more than it is now. So that is something to take into consideration when you are comparing between these two. So I think in summary, if you are looking for a bag that is Chanel, that is got a classic-ish look that you can wear casually, that can hold a lot of stuff, and you are looking to spend almost $10,000, I definitely think the Chanel 19 bag is for you if you are okay with babying it a little bit. However, if you are looking for a bag that will last you literally forever, if you're looking for a bag that can take you from day to night, that can hold all of your essentials, and you are okay with paying a crazier, higher price point, then I do think the Chanel Classic flap is the way to go. So that was it for my comparison. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below which one you prefer out of these two. Also, let me know if you want me to do any more comparisons between the bags that I have, especially the Chanel one. I have a ultimate classic Chanel flap guide on my channel, which compares all the different sizes from the mini to the jumbo. If you are interested in that, I will link it for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!